Sachinedu, it's good to have you back. Just 2 days ago, Okonjo Iweala blasted Tinubu and Buhari that for being irresponsible after taking over since 2014, the GDP that she left has been watched to dwindle. That Tinubu needs to buckle up, otherwise Nigeria will fall into abyss and become the poorest nation in the world. What's the reaction?
If Okonjo Iweala should be sounding in this direction now. Well, you know that it was this government too that carried a massive propaganda against his economic policies as at that time while he was still under Jonathan, where he was able to set up some intervention funds, to be able to cushion some of these over spiraling effect that has to do with a recession as at that time. But unfortunately, the governor of Rivers State as at that time, Rotimi Amechi, this man was also there. Governor of Edo State, Shomole, was also there, and some other governors. They ganged up against that policy of that woman. They insisted that that fund that was reserved, the suffering fund that was reserved, should be plugged back to the system for them to share. Okonjo Iweala, after massive campaign against him, she of course under Jonathan gave in at the end of the day. But what he foresaw, yes, was what is actually playing out now. But unfortunately, we had a very bad, incompetent, and irresponsible government, ranging from the era of Buhari, coming in, and not knowing what it takes, to streamline and be able to manage the effect of the economic situation we find ourselves. And unfortunately, in this Tinubu era, it becomes the worst so far. So Okonjo Iweala should be seen as someone who is, I think, to an extent, for me, patriotic enough to have even added his voice to a possible collapse of Nigerian economy. So I think at this point, Okonjo Iweala is trying to remind them of certain decisions she took, but to the benefit of Nigerians at that time. But you can see where we find ourselves, that Okonjo Iweala now has seen the direction this administration is going, and possibly leading the Nigeria to final economic failure. Let me put it that way. So he's offering his own side of the story by telling them that they should sit up, because she is sitting at that level of international and global trade organization, that has to do with businesses all over the world. It means that she has some certain classified information, about nations and countries that are heading to economic doom at the end of the day. So it is a wake-up call to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his men, to sit up and know what to do. Look at what is happening in Tunisia currently now. That government was almost, on its way to collapse. What did the president do in Tunisia recently? He reshuffled his cabinet. He sacked some people and bring in some people, to see how they can kindly reject the system. It is done everywhere. Tinubu has been in this system for over 1 year, and things are getting worse, and he's still keeping the same people, in the same position up till now. We've not seen reshuffling, in that direction, where maybe we will begin to see some positive effect. Our GDP begin to appreciate. We begin to see upward, movement, towards a better economy. We're not seeing that, because a lot of people are still shouting that people should be able to do something to, make sure that if care is not taken, Nigeria might end up into economic crisis, and that economic crisis might lead to massive revolution or total balkanization of Nigeria if care is not taken. Because when a nation is being pushed to an extent that the nation cannot provide food for itself, food become very scarce, food become very insignificant, people cannot lay their hand, the economy is collapsing, the banking system, everything is at the breaking point. Then Tinubu go take his head carry am. There's no two ways about it, because when the the likes of Okonjo Iweala and the rest of them as at that time were trying to checkmate these things that during that period, they came under massive criticism. You know, they championed all manner of campaign against Jonathan's administration. They said all of things. But people like us knows fully well that, you know, this is they are just propagating against Jonathan Okonjo Iweala, and so a lot of them they are just mere propaganda, and that is where I fall out completely with Sowore, because I know the role Sahara Reporter played, that every politician, including governors, when they are debating anything in the Senate or in their forum, they make reference to Premium Times, they make reference to Sahara Reporter. But you can find out yourself now that, you know, most of those things Ngozi was saying, it was she was just telling people, trying to protect, you know, the possible economic collapse of Nigeria. So as of now, he's still there. The world took him because we seem to don't value. You know, I know that Buhari made some kind of moves to bring her back. She said no. It is already engaged with the international appointment and all that. You know, even at a certain point, you know, Tinubu body language was signaling, you know, for him to come in, even if it's on adversary road, like what South Africa did. You know, she's in an economic advisory committee of present South Africa now. Not only South Africa, Malawi, so many countries in Africa. But in Nigeria, she's not being valued. So she's just telling you before it happens that if Tinubu don't want to do, he should start preparing his ground, you know, on time. And if not, you know, the danger ahead should not be something to toy with. You need to apply caution before danger.
Our core advice to the Tinubu administration is they must go back to the policies that they created, which were Shopee and You Win. And those two policies were working magically. That the government of Tinubu must stop the attitude of no be me startup, I will continue. That they must be humble enough and go back to that, you know, pre-APC policies. Otherwise, Nigeria will never move forward. Is this not an indication that she's also calling for Jonathan to come back?
Mr. Niyi, I thank you for this great question. You know, you see, one of the problems we have is nationalism, patriotism, you know, and the quest for nation building. On the side of the politicians, it is 0/0. It's not only happening at the national level, it also happens at the state level. Where some governors, once they come into office, they jettison, you know, a supposed better program that's being run by their predecessors. And by so doing, we have already endangered structural development, economic development, commercial development in those states. It is the same thing. It's trying to point out that continuity, irrespective of party, would have at least taken Nigeria to a certain level that we should not be discussing about where we are going to be any moment from now, whether Nigerians can be able to afford a square meal a day or not, whether the government is going to run bankrupt, whether companies are continuing to be shutting down, whether our GDP will continue to run down completely, you know, whether Nigerians are going. So those things would have been thinking beyond, okay, you know, a certain foreign interest. What do we do? How do we now rejig the power sector? What do we do if our soldiers would have concentrated on other things? You know, look at how China came into power and was able to conquer poverty in the year 2000, where they came out openly and told the whole world that nobody in China can go hungry. You know what it means? That means Xi Jinping himself, the current president of China, of the Communist Republic of China, had something upstairs You can see how long he has been running China. Nobody's complaining. Corrupt free. Everybody's focused. You do not take the people for granted. You do not loot. You do not run selfish interest, or else you will face the consequences of it. But in Nigeria here, if you are PDP, if you are APC, once another government comes in, it throws away maybe a better policy, a better program that the previous one is running, and that, and by Tony, you automatically jeopardize development, for some time, because before your program will start running, it will still take some time. Another government will come and still bastardize it, and often and on. Unfortunately, the APC themselves, they are just ashamed because the media is going to report it. They are running Jonathan's program. But there's nothing wrong with that. If it is a better policy and it is transferring, and or the people are seeing the dividends of it, then just will embrace it. They will ask for more. That's just the fact. But in a situation you come in, you bring some people. See, as far as I'm concerned, PDP has run the best democratic government in Nigeria. You can the 10 years of APC is like 200 years backward. You can see the kind of selected personalities from the global circle coming down to Nigeria to defend our policies before international community. Who among the Tinubu's team now can stand in presence of IMF and World Bank and be able to manipulate them the way they are manipulating us? It's only Okonjo Iweala and the likes of them they can do it. And that is why every nation in Africa and some countries in Africa are positioning her, because he understands the politics that have been played in that circle, in that institution. He knows what to say. He knows how to defend his country, and that was what he was, professionally doing under Jonathan. But unfortunately, the quest for power, and a campaign or calumny, Nigerians couldn't see beyond what Jonathan and his team was trying to protect Nigeria from. But you can see how incompetence has taken Nigeria 100 years backward under APC.
Thank you very much for that brilliant submission, as usual, Mr. Chidebe. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rab. Good morning. Yesterday, Okonjo Iweala called out the president. She said that the president and every other governors must not use insecurity to destabilize the country. And also, Okonjo Iweala equally called out Tinubu that Tinubu should continue the good policies of Jonathan, like Sure P, you win, that was advancing the country in a steady, progressive trend. Quickly, what's your reaction to Okonjo Iweala's
the madam is saying good things. Our mama, our economy mama, the former mama of our economy that did well. Finance minister in Nigeria, he actually did well during Obasanjo and Jonathan regime as well. And little did she realize that investors from Europe cannot come to a country that is without security. Investors are scared away. Nigeria is not secured. Okonjo Iweala to take note of this. Investors, they are the one that can help us grow Nigeria economy and come out of this economic predicament. Nigerians are going through a lots and lots of economic excruciating condition is killing Nigeria as I'm talking to you now. Nigerians are suffering. No economy can thrive in the face of insecurity. Consider what is happening in the north. The farmers are the one feeding the entire nation. Today they are paying tolls to Boko Haram, to King's herdsmen, to bandits. I don't understand. What about the immigrations, the customs? What are they doing? They are not securing Nigerian border. These bandits, these herdsmen are from Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Southern Libya. That's where all these bandits are coming from to attack Nigeria. Fulani nations all over West Africa have conspired against Nigeria. Fulani countries, Senegal, Gambia, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, as far as Sudan, the Fulani countries from Northern Africa have invaded Nigeria. They said Nigeria is the place to be because our security is too porous. The most porous security what? Network in the world. Nigeria is where you can cross from one country to the other into Nigeria. Nobody will ask you how are you going. Because of what? Religion. Religion in the north has subjected Nigeria to this kind of security, what? Porous security. That Niger man can marry Kano man, no bother. Chad man can marry a man in a Borno state, no protocol. Because from Maiduguri to Chad is one way. From Burkina Faso to Senegal, Senegal to Katsina. Oh my God! On many highways, they don't have border posts, no checkpoints. From one farmland to another farmland in Niger, Ogodogu. From Kano farmland to Burkina Faso. From Kano farmland to Niger, no border. From Sokoto, you can cross to Northern Republic of Benin, Cotonou again north. Oga no border. So our border has become porous that we don't know how many Nigerians are in population anymore. I see many Gambians doing well in Lagos here. I discover many Senegal doing their business here. Nobody is asking them about their papers. Okonjo Iweala should take note. I know she's good on economy, but on the face of insecurity, Nigeria has failed on the economy.
Talking about insecurity, Mr. Raphael, yesterday we saw how some religious fanatics, destroyed about 3 policemen, and I mean, in reaction, the police are licking their wounds because these people were Muslims and they killed 3 policemen. I mean, what's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is that you don't shoot on armed persons. As a policeman, if you see protesters, you use rubber bullets, you use hot water, you don't aim at protesters with lead, slug, bullets. It is wicked act. It's a wicked act. You don't shoot on armed persons in the USA. When you see a thief can break into the neighborhood without gun, arrest you. You don't shoot him. He doesn't have arm. If he has gun, if he's armed and drop his gun, he raises his hand, you don't shoot him anymore. But in Nigeria, here, police are aiming at protesters, live lead, slugs, killing protesters. See, let me tell you, what are the objectives of those protesting checks? Exactly. The leader of Chiags was incarcerated from 2015. Nobody knows his fate till today. With some of his wives. Why should they not protest? I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Christian. I'm not trying to say fanaticism is good or extremism. I don't support it. But what I'm trying to say is, why must you shoot people that don't have God? They are human beings. They are not bloody civilians. Remove bloody there. Police always say, look at these bloody civilians. Don't they know that this gun is for human beings? These guns are not for animals. If you're a policeman, you have not told this thing at the checkpoint to a civilian at the checkpoint where you are manning. Come to me. Because all of you are calling civilians bloody civilians and you are shooting, aiming at them, though unarmed. They are armed. See, let me tell you, I'm not trying to side Shiites. Shiites, in the first place, block convoy of the former Nigerian Chief of Army Staff, Brutai, in 2015. Nigerian soldiers killed all of them. Killed the wife of their leader. Abducted the man. and the man suffered incarceration for more than how many years? Okay? You're not trained as a military man or police to go after the citizens. No, that is not your statutory or official duty. Your duty is to protect civilians of any country where you are against an aggression from other countries, from natural disaster. You should come up with your arms when there is tornado, when there is earthquake. American soldiers, they are after the civilian safety and security. They come out with military truck as tall as this upstairs and start rescuing civilians. Can Nigerian soldiers do that? Don't you know that there was a flood all over Nigeria in 2011-12? How many people did Nigerian soldiers rescue? At Kogi, Anambra, Bayelsa, Imo State, all those states that are prone to what? Overflooding during torrential rain. How many of them were rescued by soldiers and police? Are you listening to me? So this time around, we find out that the cause of our insecurity is because our security officers, personnel, turn their backs from doing the needful. The needful, I mean, there are bandits, Boko Haram, headers in the bush. You turn your back on them and first the Anambra youths that they are criminals. Did they steal your mama or papa's yam? How many yams in your community did Anambra youths steal? How many yams in your community did those Enugu 27 youths were gunned down by soldiers claiming they are criminals? The military turn against civilians. Don't you see the madness? It's psychopaths. Unarmed youths are your problem. IPOB and ESN, who are they? Unknown government, they tell you, say them be unknown government. How did you investigate? How did you kill youths without proper investigation? That these ones are criminal. And if somebody is a criminal, you shoot him, Abi. Is that what Nigerian Constitution says? A criminal should be shot. Someone without gun will be shot by Nigerian police. Before you say Jack Robinson, you will see different old outdated guns placed on their chests. They are running gun in the dream, not in the real life. See, let me tell you, if police clashes with churches are aggrieved over incarceration of their leader, Nigerian government should go and have dialogue with any aggrieved group in Nigeria. That is the only way forward. Now the Kanu is now languishing in jail. After freed by court, how many times court freed him? Tinubu did not see any reason why he should release him now the Kanu. And they are telling me that police are still shooting Igbos in the southeast. The only Igbos will stay will fold their hands, they look police. Okay, the cause of insecurity in Nigeria is more than what we are telling outside the world. The cause of insecurity in Nigeria is deeper, far deeper than what you know about. The cause of insecurity in Nigeria is as a result of ethnic bigotry, hate against among Nigerians. It has gone beyond what we are writing on the front pages of newspaper, what NTA is telling the whole world. It has gone beyond that. Killings of innocent youth in Igbo land brings about unknown government and the what? Militarization going on in the southeastern region.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raphael, for a brilliant submission as usual. Good morning.